you have one guy who, yeah, he's smaller, but he's a top fighter, he can punch, and he's fighting a guy who's not a top pro fighter, who's bigger.
I can see Tank just outboxing him and making it real easy.
Tank Davis is a violent human being. He's a savage. And he didn't feel in his element. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. If you're from the hood, you will know.
Several boxing professionals have made it clear Jake Paul stands no real chance of surviving against Gervonta Tank Davis. Shakur Stevenson explained that even though Jake enjoys a massive size advantage, that won't be enough to overcome Tank's elite skills and ring IQ. According to Stevenson, Davis's experience and technical brilliance will completely dominate the fight. He believes Tank won't go hunting for a knockout because Jake's size will make him harder to drop, but instead, he'll control every round with precision and win convincingly on points.
Between these two guys.
I mean, size will play some part of the fight, but if I'm thinking like I'm Tank, I'm probably just gonna go out there and try to outbox him and use my knowledge and IQ against him. So I can see Tank just outboxing him and making it real easy.
Is there any way any realistic or legitimate way in your mind you could see Jake Paul winning a fight against Tank?
No.
No way.
Nope.
Not a lot of people have talked about Jake and say he's got good power. Not even and I get anything could technically happen, but you don't even see a realistic shot where he could land one big punch, and Tank being so much smaller, he just can't handle the power.
Nah, not at all. I think Tank is he's been boxing his whole life. Been boxing since a kid, so I doubt like that's gonna be an issue or problem. I think Jake is good for where he's at, but I think it's just levels.
Do you see a more likely chance that Tank wins by decision or by knockout?
By decision. I mean, that guy's too big. I don't think that he's just gonna knock that guy out. So I see him like outboxing.
Could you see a realistic possibility where Tank could knock him out, although more likely that it is, like you just said, a decision?
Nah, I don't see him knocking him out, no.
Will you watch, Shakur? I mean,
no.
Obviously, no?
Hell no, nah, that ain't really like, I mean, like I said, here's the thing, like I got two sides of me when it comes down to it. I got a business side, then I got a competitor side, and from the competitive aspect, it don't excite me for me to be like, okay, I want to watch it.
Showbiz the Adult emphasized that Tank has already proven himself against bigger, taller, and faster opponents like Ryan Garcia. He reminded fans that Ryan was not only taller but also explosive and sharp, yet Tank still found his rhythm, adjusted, and stopped him. According to Showbiz, if Davis could close the distance on Ryan, a trained and experienced boxer, then Jake Paul, who is still new to real boxing, will be no different. Jake's height and muscle mass may look impressive on paper, but boxing isn't about who's bigger. It's about timing, distance, and IQ, areas where Tank reigns supreme. Showbiz believes Davis has mastered the art of reading opponents, setting traps, and breaking them down. Once Jake steps inside that ring, Tank's mastery will expose him quickly.
Emotionally, see if he's rattled. See, when it's all said and done, the whole talking shit goes out the window. Jake's scared. And let me tell you this too. I looked at I'm sizing them up. I'm looking at Tank and Jake, and I'm looking at them. Tank can reach him too. He reached Ryan Garcia. He reached Mario Barrios. I was like, he ain't gonna be able to reach him. He's gonna reach him, I saw Tank's gonna reach him. He knows he's gonna reach him. Listen, I wanna say this too. Funny as hell. Before I say all this, Alicia Baumgartner, shout out to you, girl. I couldn't believe out of all the women to be the first one to do 3-minute, 12 rounds is Alicia Baumgartner. And I really know if I have a great endurance, great stamina, and she's doing this shit. Shout out to Alicia Baumgartner. Because, what's her name, Layla? I don't really know her like that. But she looks like she ain't rattled by Alicia, so that's a perfect dance partner for that. Try to drag Alicia Baumgartner into lake water, see what's going on with that. Shout out to Alicia Baumgartner. But let's get back to Tank. First of all, Tank knows what he's doing. Tank Davis, he said, he was just making all these implications that's going to be scripted. When he said, you're paying me, and then he was like, yo, you're going to have to give me extra, and then he said that this is scripted.
At the end of the day, I gave this little guy an opportunity. He should be thanking me. I'm paying him. I'm his boss. He reports to me, and I'm going to fucking son him on November 14th. So fuck you, little man.
You paying me? Are you paying me?
Yeah.
100%? 100%. Facts?
Correct.
Yes? Correct?
Correct. I'm your daddy.
Former champion Chris Algieri praised Gervonta Davis not just for his fighting skill but for his ability to bring excitement back to boxing. Algieri pointed out that the sport today isn't only about who punches the hardest, it's about who can capture the audience's imagination. Davis has become a modern symbol of that energy. Every time Tank fights, arenas fill, and fans, from hardcore followers to casual viewers, tune in. At the same time, Algieri credited Jake Paul for attracting a different kind of audience, people who might have never cared about boxing until he stepped in. In Algieri's view, both Davis and Jake are vital to keeping the sport alive, each bringing attention from different worlds, one from pure boxing, and the other from entertainment.
The face of boxing could be Jake Paul soon. And the face of boxing is basically... Yeah, the face of boxing now is based on if you sell and if people tune in and how many eyes are tuning in when you fight. Gervonta Davis had that. Jake Paul has that. Now they're fighting each other.
These are created products. These are still created products. Jake made his name going to Walgreens and making funny faces. You know what I mean? And it was just blowing up on YouTube and whatnot, right? I mean, that's how he started.
The world we live in now, dude. It's unfortunate. Okay, it's not like Sugar Ray Leonard, who was the best fighter in the world and marketable. It's not like Oscar De La Hoya, who was a gold medalist, great fighter and marketable.
But what I'm saying is technology allows us to make, if I want to take this shoe off right here, and I say I want to make my Nike sneaker into the best product possible, and I got enough money to push it behind it. I put it all over your social media platform, and I put it all over your TV set and all over your phone and all over. You know what, bro? You're gonna start to get curious about the shoe.
Charleston White, however, was far less complimentary. He completely dismissed Jake Paul's boxing career as mere entertainment dressed as combat. According to him, Jake's matches have never resembled real professional fights, they are choreographed exhibitions designed for clicks and cash. He argued that Jake has yet to face a truly elite opponent who could test his endurance and skill. For Charleston, a matchup with someone like Gervonta Davis would brutally expose Jake's lack of depth. Tank's experience, reflexes, and professional pedigree would make the difference painfully clear. Popularity can't hide reality, he said. Exhibitions don't make legends. Real fights do.
YouTube boxing and what people say is going on in the media, without a doubt, I think Charleston White is 100% right about that. Don't believe anything you hear. Don't believe anything you see. Wait to see how things play out, and ultimately everything will come out in the wash. Well, going into this fight with Gervonta Davis, I had my concerns about the fight because of the same type of reasoning that Charleston White used, except for mine is slightly different. I don't think that either one of these guys are going to try to do too much damage to each other. Number one, because if it's scripted, which more than likely to an extent it will be, Gervonta Davis is not going to put himself in a situation where Jake Paul is going to actually be able to hurt him. And with these 12-ounce gloves on top of Gervonta Davis's hands, which is bigger, 2 ounces bigger, I do.
Respected trainer and analyst Teddy Atlas compared the hypothetical Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis fight to when Jake's brother Logan faced Floyd Mayweather. Atlas noted that while Jake might have a physical advantage, experience and skill would be the deciding factors. He described Davis as a ring dancer, someone who controls tempo, rhythm, and energy effortlessly. Tank, Atlas said, has spent his entire career facing dangerous fighters, sharpening instincts that size alone can't counter. Jake, by contrast, lacks that instinctive sharpness and awareness needed at the elite level. Boxing isn't about who's bigger, Atlas added. It's about precision, timing, and control. Every step Tank takes, every punch he throws, it's for a reason.
Well, I liked this when I heard it. No, I didn't like it, to be honest, for the optics and everything else I just said. But you do have one guy who, yeah, he's smaller, but he's a top fighter, he can punch. And he's fighting a guy who's not a top pro fighter, who's bigger. What if he hits him on the chin? It'll wind up selling. And that's what'll wind up selling. The what if. What if Tank makes him do a cha-cha? He hits him on the chin. And Jake Paul, we're going to find out if he can dance. Whoa. You know, do the cha-cha. That's what's going to sell it. And you can't argue that what if. You can't. I know I get to places that other people won't go and everything else. They just dismiss stuff because it's easier to do that. It's safer to do that. You don't have the bows and arrows coming at you from people that argue with you because you did that. But I don't care. I've had bows and arrows my whole life. I don't care. But that's true. That what if this guy who is a real good puncher, who is one of the best fighters in the world right now, what if he hits him? What if he makes a miss and he counters him? Or he jumps up in the air? Bang!
Showbiz the adult also commented on Tank's demeanor outside the ring. He admitted that Davis may not be the most polished talker or the flashiest personality, but that's what makes him real. Tank's confidence, Showbiz said, comes from surviving tough environments, not from PR teams or rehearsed lines. His body language says more than any trash talk could. When he faces an opponent, he looks calm, fearless, and unshaken. Showbiz added that while Jake Paul thrives on promotion and media, Tank's power lies in silence. His aura doesn't need marketing, it commands respect on its own.
Tank Davis is a violent human being. He's a savage. And he didn't feel in his element. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. If you're from the hood, you will know. It's kind of like taking a guy from the block and putting him in the corporate world in a business meeting. He's going to be so out of his element that he's just, he doesn't even know how to argue without sounding like, I'm gonna whoop your ass, I'm gonna beat you. The way Jake was doing things, he had the clowns coming out.
Still, not everyone is convinced that Davis could handle Jake Paul's size. Some analysts argue that weight classes exist for a reason. They acknowledge Tank's power at lightweight and super featherweight but question whether that same power could affect a man walking around near 190 pounds. They believe physical strength, reach, and durability will all favor Jake. Even if Tank lands clean, Jake's heavier frame might absorb those shots better than smaller opponents can. Physics matters, they caution. You can't ignore the weight gap.
All of a sudden, we want to know, who will win in this fight? Jake Paul or Tank Davis? It's a legit question. And I actually want to really hear your thoughts on who do you think is going to win. Because I know what Vegas is saying, but I want to know what you think. You got
Personally, I think Tank too little, bro.
Yo,
I think Tank too little.
I'm so glad you have a brain on your fucking shoulder.
I think Tank too little.
I said, bro.
I think Tank's too little. That's what I'm saying. That weight class is for a reason.
Davis
that weight class is for a reason.
5'5", 135 pounds. Jake Paul is 6 feet, 205 pounds.
That's what I'm saying.
Bro.
He's too
6'1",
little.
205. Everybody's like, yeah, bro, but Tank it only takes one good punch. Yes, it takes one good punch when you're about the same size. There's a 60, 70 pound difference in weight in these people. I don't think nobody puts the physics in mind. Jake Paul gets punched in the face by dudes 200 pounds with all their might on a weekly basis. 135 pound puncher, bro. If y'all remember the Mayweather versus Conor McGregor fight, Conor walks around like 180 on the regular. He's like 5'9", 180. Mayweather's like 5'7", 145. That 30 pound, 20, 30 pound difference, bro. If you remember that fight, Mayweather was putting mittens on Conor. Guess what happened to Conor? He didn't hit the ground once. No. He lasted all 12 rounds getting hit with flurries. I'm talking about Mayweather was having his time. He's being cocky with it, hitting him with all kind of combos. And we're watching the last 3 rounds of that shit like, yo, knock him out. And you know what? He could not knock him out because Conor gets punched by people that are 170, 180 pounds on a regular. And just that 20, 30 pound difference, it was like impossible for him to do anything. And that's exactly what I feel like is going to happen versus Jake.
Despite the skepticism, fans can't deny that Jake Paul has injected new life into the sport. His fights, whether you love them or hate them, generate massive attention and conversation. Traditionalists may call it a money grab, but others see it as a spark the sport needed. Jake's ability to attract fans from outside boxing's usual audience has reignited interest. People tune in not only to see if he'll win but to see if he'll finally get humbled. That unpredictability adds drama, and drama is what boxing thrives on.
A lot of people said, this is bad for boxing, this is bad for boxing. Mate, calm down, calm down. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of him. But he's bringing a lot of eyes to boxing. A lot of eyes to boxing. He's doing great for boxing. I don't care what everyone thinks. The weight difference is mad though. Lightweight to, God knows, cruiserweight or whatever the hell he is. Or Gervonta might get thumped up, you know. Hey, if he gets bashed up, I can never go on TikTok live again. The TikTok warriors are going to give me a hard time. They're going to say Jake Paul's undisputed. Oh my God, he's the best thing since sliced bread.
British heavyweight Dave Allen shared a more balanced take. He admitted he disliked Jake's earlier fights, especially against Mike Tyson and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., calling them publicity stunts. But he said a fight with Gervonta Davis feels different. As long as no one gets seriously hurt, Allen believes it's fine, because it entertains and keeps fans engaged. He acknowledged Jake isn't a world-class boxer, but said his work ethic and determination are undeniable. He's not great, Allen said, but for his experience, he's not bad either.
In an exhibition. Thing with Jake Paul, I think he's a good area title level fighter, and that's a good level, right? And you can be proud of it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's good, but the Mike Tyson fight I didn't like. The Chavez fight was just farcical because he's 10-11 years past his best, up 6 weight divisions. But less of a problem because Chavez wasn't in his 50s. Fighting MMA guys, again, he's fighting people that don't do the same, that they're not even in the same sport. But while they're a bit older, they're still not in the 50s. So all that stuff, I won't really watch any of it. I think I've watched one fight against Tommy Fury, the only professional boxer in and around his prime years, and he got beat. But I think his area title level, I think he works really hard, I think he trains hard, and I don't think he's a bad fighter at all. I don't think he's I don't think he's a good fighter, but he's not a bad fighter. For his experience, he's not bad at all. But Gervonta Davis is a lightweight. So, by all means, if they make a few quid and nobody gets hurt, then great. But I certainly wouldn't be paying a penny to watch it. I think it's just absolutely ridiculous, farcical. Who wants to watch an exhibition? Gervonta Davis is in his prime years. Why is he wasting his time? Why is that having a rematch with the fella he got a draw with? Why is he not fighting?
Allen went on to explain that Jake is what he'd call area level, not elite, but respectable for where he is. He criticized Jake's past matchups against older, retired fighters, saying they didn't truly test him. He recalled that the only real professional in Jake's prime he fought was Tommy Fury, and he lost. Allen's main concern, however, is why Gervonta Davis would even bother with such an exhibition. Tank's in his prime, Allen said. Why waste time on a YouTuber when real challengers are waiting?
Yeah, you're seeing what I'm saying. Tank Davis versus Jake Paul. I don't buy it for a second, but apparently they were in negotiations to have this fight happen if Tank Davis beat his previous opponent, which obviously ended in a draw. Which means he's obviously going to go and rematch Lamont Roach in his next fight. But come on, Tank Davis versus Jake Paul. Jake Paul is a cruiserweight / heavyweight. Tank Davis is a lightweight. This is Jake Paul's mindset. Okay, I'll fight a legit professional boxer, OAP. I'll fight a legitimate professional boxer who's his age, loses. Okay, I'll fight another professional boxer who's half his weight. Honestly, I don't care how big Jake Paul is, I genuinely do think that Tank Davis would beat Jake Paul. I think Tank Davis would be too fast, too slick, outbox him, move around. He wouldn't knock him out, obviously. I don't think he'd knock him out because of how big Jake Paul is, but he would outbox him 100%. But anyway guys, let me know what you guys think about this potential fight. I really hope it does not happen because Jake Paul needs to fight a legitimate pro who isn't a taxi driver, who isn't old, and isn't half.
Interestingly, this fight didn't come out of nowhere. Reports suggest Tank has mentioned Jake Paul several times in past interviews, teasing the idea of a clash. Over time, those comments evolved into real conversations. Both men have exchanged words online, building hype and fueling speculation. For Tank, it's about exposing Jake. For Jake, it's about proving he belongs in boxing's upper circles.
Because yes, Floyd didn't have the punching power Gervonta had, but even if Gervonta lands, I don't see him hurting Jake to the point he knocks him out. So what are we even doing? Where's the idea of this where's the idea that Gervonta's even gonna hurt him? He may hurt him to the body, whatever. Jake doesn't want to throw as much, but I don't see him one punch knocking Jake out. And, the same thing was kind of said with Logan. Like, okay, Floyd probably won't knock him out, but probably going to outbox him. I get where Dana's coming from. These things are not meant to be competitive fights. They're meant to make money and to, I guess, scratch that itch of the circus mystery unknown.
And Gervonta, I think, hits way harder than fucking Floyd, but he's too small. I mean, your brother's going to be able to, you know, get inside on him, put his weight on him, tie him up. But I don't hate your brother. Your brother's out there doing his thing. But it cracks me up that they want to start suing people that are talking shit when your brother talks more shit than anybody talks.
I think the thought process behind it is, okay, so Jake and I are obviously pretty polarizing individuals, and when an echo chamber starts and a rumor mill starts of like staged fight bullshit, which like these fights aren't staged, you know, that's just, it's at that level, it's like almost impossible. I think they think that it affects the business and it affects the brand because people discredit him as actually having legitimate bouts. I think that's the theory. So to hold people accountable for
legitimate
perpetuating
meaning,
the rumor.
Legitimate meaning not fixed.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And which is, I mean, again, Dana would do the same thing if his company became known for doing fixed fights when they weren't. Then he would try to find the same way to hold people accountable if they were reputable people saying that, right? So again, the whole Jake suing people for blatantly trying to say he fixes fights or he stages fights or people have no knockout clauses and all the other bullshit, I understand. Now, again, people need to use their words more accurately if they're upset about what Jake is doing. All you have to do, if you're upset with the way Jake is moving in his career, is say, what some people do say, which is, we like to see Jake challenge himself. We don't want to see these exhibitions, these fights that don't make sense for what you said you want to do or what you purport to want to be in the sport of boxing, which is a world champion. We want to see you fight active fighters around your skill level. That's it. But you can't go on there and go, oh, look, another rigged fight. Oh, look, another fake fight.
The final debate among experts centers on power dynamics. Gervonta's knockout ability at lightweight is legendary, but will that same power translate against someone almost 70 pounds heavier? Analysts explain that physics may neutralize Tank's usual explosiveness. A punch that drops a 135-pounder might barely shake a 200-pound opponent. Jake's natural size and reach could blunt Tank's offense. That doesn't mean Davis is powerless, just that he'd have to fight smarter than ever before. And that wraps up the discussion. Whether you view Jake Paul as a sideshow or a genuine fighter, one thing is certain, the idea of him facing Gervonta Davis has the entire boxing world talking. Fans, critics, and fighters all have opinions, but only time will tell if this fantasy matchup ever becomes reality.